holy crap, I'm really out here in another province in Canada knocking doors. Took me 2 weeks to go and get my first sale. I was not the best one, but after those 2 weeks of grinding and following the process, figured it out after a while. I finished in the top. I was second in the office that year.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the D2D Podcast. We got another great guest on for you today, hailing all the way from Vancouver, British Columbia. His name is Mr. Jordan Morales, VP of KNOK. Jordan, welcome to the show, man. How are you today?
Doing good. Super excited to be on the show today.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. From what I've read and heard, you're doing and have done some big things up there in Canada. So for our listeners who may not know who you are, why don't you give us a little bit of a background as to, and actually make this fun, because I love a good recruiting story if you have one. I like to hear kind of what people were doing prior to Door and how they got recruited into the industry. And then give us a rundown on your career and what got you to where you're at today.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks for having me on. I'm Jordan Morales. I am 31 years old. I was born in Montreal, Quebec, in the French land.
I was going to say, do you speak French?
I do speak French, yeah.
That is so badass. Good for you.
Recently engaged to my beautiful fiance, Mel. So I was in Montreal at the time when I was getting recruited. I grew up in the LDS church. I was saving up some money to go on my mission. And I had a buddy reach out to me, shout out John Kaufman. He was doing Vantage for 4 years as a regional. And then he switched over to Vivint. And he had recruited me as I was obviously trying to save some money. I was trying to get work in the US and join him because he was knocking in Virginia at the time, but I couldn't get a visa in time. So he sent me off to Calgary, Alberta for my first summer. I went and recruited some of my best friends. We all made pinky promises that we wouldn't quit. I was pretty sold on the job right away. It didn't take much convincing. I'm pretty much a laydown. And, they showed me how much money they made. And so I just flew out without a doubt and then just arrived in Calgary. It was my first time there. From being in Montreal, a big city, to going in Calgary, it's very different for me. I remember getting out of the plane with my buddies. We got picked up by our manager, Blaine Emelson. The guy's a stud. And he picked us up in his pickup truck. They like to call Alberta, like the redneck town. And, they pick us up, they drive us to this facility there in the hotel, like the conference room. And, everyone's wearing orange. And as soon as I got there, I'm just like, what is this cult that I'm getting into? So I get into the meeting room and I remember going straight to sales training. And I just remember the manager, great guy, gave this super motivating speech. And this is our first day pretty much. Back in the day, I remember they had these booklets. We didn't have iPads back then. We had booklets and these long contracts.
What year is this, by the way? Sorry to interrupt.
This is 2015. Yeah.
Oh, dude. For Vivint?
For Vivint in Canada and California.
I started 2015 North Star Alarms. So look at us. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
No problem. But yeah, so I thought I was the crap, and everyone's putting up their goals at the end of the day, and I'm super motivated on my first day, and I was the guy that said I'll sell 5 my first day. Those are the days where you had to go to the back of the office. You got to pick up 5 booklets because I said 5. Everyone was pissed at me because they're like, this guy's taking 5 booklets as a rookie. Folding in the contract, sliding it in the booklets, and then. I still remember we get into his car. We have our car groups. We drive out to area. My buddies are in the car with me and I'm with Blaine. And we drive to this small little town called Cochrane, Alberta, just north of Calgary, about an hour north. And still remember this day. He drops me off. And I'm like, Blaine, I don't even have a pitch. What do I say? And he says, you'll figure it out, shuts the door and drives off.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was my first day. I get out in area and I still remember my first door. Lady answers and she screams. She's like, what do you want? And I was frozen and no words came out. And so at that point I realized, holy crap, I'm really out here in another province in Canada, knocking doors. Took me 2 weeks to go and get my first sale.
2 weeks, dude.
2 full weeks. Yeah, I was not the best one. But after those 2 weeks of, grinding and, following the process, figured it out after a while. I finished in the top, I was second in the office that year. Number one place was Mike Ruddy. He was an absolute stud. He's a Golden Door winner now. I was still top 5 in the company not the company, in the country at the time. So I finished one of the top rookies. Second year, I became an assistant manager, brought about a dozen people out to come KNOK from Montreal out to Lethbridge. My third year, I started managing. I had my own team in Vancouver, and then I managed for 2 more years for 5 years at Vivint. So I spent a 5-year career at Vivint. So where big changes happened though was during COVID. So this is about 2020. I was getting recruited by a good buddy of mine now. His name is Brent Stevens. He runs Smart Haven.
Yeah.
And Smart Haven was a dealer for ADT. ADT just had gotten acquired by this big company in Canada called TELUS. And I had some buddies like Mike Sampson, another friend of mine, working there, and he was just absolutely crushing it. At Vivint, we were selling alarm systems for $70, $80, $90 a month. And this TELUS company comes in selling the same package for $30 a month. And so I still remember Brent was, he was eager to get me to work. And so he shipped me a uniform and just assumed the sale. I didn't even agree to work with him yet, but I had a uniform pop up at my address. And one day I'm knocking in Surrey, British Columbia in my Vivint uniform, and I'm pounding the doors in the winter and it's cold out, and I'm just bageling for 2-3 hours. And I'm like, this sucks. Let me go in my car and try that blue uniform on. And so I go to the car, I take off my orange uniform, I put my blue ADT by TELUS uniform. After 3 hours of bageling in my Vivint uniform, I knocked my first door, got a sale. Second door, got a sale. And then I'm like, holy crap, this is so easy. So I go back to the car. I'm like, when's the best time to get a sale? Right after a sale. I'm like, you know what? I have momentum. Let me put this Vivint one back on. Didn't sell for an hour. Put the blue one back on, sold again. So I sold three alarms and 3 doors that I knocked in the ADT by TELUS uniform. And in my head, I'm like, hey, I'm not the best alarm guy. Like, I'll do my 1-2 a day. But my guys that, stuck around doing 1 every second day or 1 every third day, if I could sell 3 a day here, those guys could sell 1 a day, and I could probably do something big. So I made the switch. And then 2 weeks later, Vivint shut down in Canada. It was just right place, right time. Again, at Vivint, I wasn't the best salesperson, but I was trusted. I built really good relationships with a lot of people. And when Vivint Canada shut down, a lot of sales guys were looking for a place to work. And because of those good relationships I had with a lot of them, we were able to grow the team. At the time, we were like 30 people at Smart Haven. We grew to over 250, 300 within 3 months. And it was huge. I helped build the pay scales. I helped build the training plans. I helped do all the videos. And it was a really cool experience for me. And that's pretty much where everything changed. 5 years later, I'm still at the same company. We've grown a lot. We've rebranded to a company named KNOK. And we've also launched a solar program as well within our umbrella. And so that's where I'm at right now.
I love it, man. Gosh, that's a cool little intro, dude. So much to unpack there. First thing, I have noticed a lot of the top performers in the industry, door-to-door industry, I should say, or people that just actually make a long-term career out of it, tend to be the easiest recruits. I've noticed that. I don't know why. I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm not anyone special, but I was an absolute laydown of a recruit. One meeting with my then at the time regional manager, just hooked, and kind of sounds like you, just all right, I'm in, let's go, burn the ships. And then 10 years later, look, here we are still in the industry. But dude, let's talk about the first 2 weeks really quick. The reason I ask is because I kind of had a different start. So when I got recruited about a month and a half prior to the season starting. So I'd already committed, signed my onboarding docs, all the jazz, put it in KNOK for a month and a half. So they gave me this literal printed piece of paper, full sales cycle from like alarms, from door knock, transition, shoes on, shoes off, that whole thing, all the way to like building emotion. If you were a burglar, where would you guys break in? You know, the whole thing to closing. And it was like, I want to say 6 to 7 pages thick, double-sided, like size 12 font. Like it was a lot. And so I spent that first month and a half memorizing that, role playing with my then wife at the time in our apartment. She's giggling. I'm like, this is serious. You know, I was like, dude, if this is an opportunity like everyone's making it sound, and I'm seeing people that are like actually living well, I'm gonna take it serious. And so I went out and I sold 1 or 2 a day for my first week. And I was like, bro, I got this on lock. Everyone's like, oh, you're gonna be so good, like all the things. And then week 2, I went out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, didn't sell one after coming off a hot week. And I thought it was a fluke. I was like, I got emotional. Like Saturday afternoon on that full week of bageling, I walked to a Taco Bell. I called my manager and I was like, bro, I don't think this is for me. I think I just got lucky. And he helped me, pivoted, made some sales, and then here I am. But to go 2 weeks without seeing any kind of reward, talk me through that a little bit. How did you stay the course? Because I feel like I've heard that story a lot, but I've heard the alternative, which is I quit and went home. You know what I mean? How did you stay the course for 2 weeks? Was it because you were far away from home? Was it because you're with your buddies, made that pinky promise? Or what was like the true reason? Because that's hard, dude. That's really hard.
No, it's a good question. Yeah. Let me rephrase that. I did actually sell my first week at the end of the week. So I sold 1 in 2 weeks and then I started selling. So it wasn't as bad, but it was still pretty bad. I think there was 2 things. Number one, when I came in, I just knew that I had to grind as hard as I can to learn as much as I can in those first 3 weeks. Cause I know that, you know, if I don't figure it out in 3 weeks, I'm probably going to want to quit. That's the expectation that my recruiter gave to me in the very beginning. And the second thing was, it was just a sink or swim mentality. I remember right before I got my first sale, it was a 9 p.m. on a Saturday and I was sitting on a park bench. And my buddies at the time, they called me saying that they wanted to go home. They're like, this is the worst decision we made coming out here. And they're like, hey, you know, our parents are willing to fly us back. And, you know, I remember calling home and my mom's just like, hey, you made the decision to be out there. You're staying out there. I'm not sure if she remembers telling me that, but I still remember it vividly. So I remember I was 20 at the time, just crying in the middle of a park. And there's like kids playing around and I'm like, oh my goodness. And it's starting to get dark because it's May in Alberta. It gets pretty dark pretty fast. And I still see this one house with the light on. I still remember their names even. And I'm like, you know what? I might as well go knock this door. I knocked the door. Their name's Ashley and Simon. And they're just like, hey, we just had a break-in. We need an alarm system. Are you doing alarms? And I'm like, yeah. And I was like trying to be overconfident. I'm like one of the managers out here. I'll set you up nicely. I get in and I'm like, oh shoot, I've never touched the paperwork yet. So I had to call my manager. He's like walking me through those long contracts back in the day. And I got my first deal. And you know, when my friends saw me get that first deal, I think it was a little wake-up call for me because I think I was the loser of the bunch. So when they saw me sell, they're like, oh, if he can do it, we can do it. And then we just kind of fed off each other's energy. And then I just stuck around and I just kept working. That's really it.
Keep working, man. I love it. And I love the last door stories. I love the buzzer beater, like on the verge of quitting, pep talk by mom. There's a house with the light on. And it's like, it was just meant to be. Those moments, dude, I've had a few of those in my career as well that just like literally changed the game. Like who knows what life would have looked like for you had you went to that door and then they said, get the hell off my doorstep. Like who knows what would have happened. You know what I mean? So like, that's really cool. I kind of got goosebumps, to be honest.
Thanks so much for listening to the D2D podcast and being such a loyal listener. If you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button. And we have finally come out with a 2.0 to our D2D University. And we want to give you free access to our community where you can peruse around different micro courses to big pro and apprentice certifications. Whether you're in pest, solar, roofing, alarms, fiber, all these different industries have an amazing refresh of brand new content we spent the last year redoing. Why? Because we believe in leveling up this industry from ethics to mindset to skill sets to all the things that's going to make you an actual pro at doing this door-to-door job that we know is super difficult, but it's the same effort, but greater results with D2D 2.0. Go to our website and get access today.
So a question for you, and I'm curious your answer because of how you said your manager just like dropped you off, slammed the door and just sped off, which I can vividly picture, which is funny in a pickup truck. But in those your first year rather, or any year, did you have any like early on mentors that really helped you, guide you, train you, or were you one of the few people that just kind of just were on your own and figured it out?
Yeah, I'd say like three main ones would stick out to me a lot. First one is he was the VP of the time at Vivint. His name was Brock Wahlberger. I think a lot of the trainings that he would talk about were not necessarily sales training, but how do you position yourself and give yourself a good lifestyle so that when you're out in area, you have good energy out there, right? Like, how do you make sure your life is aligned physically, mentally, you're healthy so that when you're out in area that you're giving off good energy. Very big mentor. Another one would be Ryan Anderson, one of my regionals back then. He always, at the time I wouldn't say he's a mentor at that time, but the stuff he said at that time definitely affects me now. He'd always say, be in position to be in position. It stuck with me because I don't think I would have been in the position I am right now if I wasn't ready to accept it and make that jump to switch from, Vivint to TELUS at the time. And then one in particular, I think I mentioned his name before, his name is Michael Ruddy. He was in our office and, we started off, we're both rookies. Sorry?
He was the top rookie you mentioned, right?
Top rookie that year. He won a Golden Door last year in solar here in Canada as well. And just seeing him grind every single day in the office that I was in definitely pushed me and motivated me a lot to go out there and just knock. I didn't want to be that far off from his numbers. So I definitely had some competition there. Yeah,
that's important, dude. It's nice to have a white rabbit to chase sometimes. It's like, you don't like it, but you realize the value and it pushes you and even the competitiveness just in sales in general is a good thing to have. But one thing I wanted to ask you is second year you became assistant manager. Seems like a pretty quick jump into leadership. What was that transition like for you? Was it like a forced move, or like your leaders like, hey, we need you in this role? Or was it because you recruited enough people to meet a certain metric to become an assistant manager? So like, how did that transition happen so quickly? And what was that transition like? Because realistically, second summer, you're still, sure, you can go out, you can sell, you can do the damn thing, but it's still pretty soon. So I'm curious what that was like for you.
Yeah, it's interesting. It wasn't even really presented to me. I went my first year with a couple of my friends already. They weren't necessarily recruits, but I did recruit them. And I think what happened was whenever I'd see them have success on the doors, and it was because of something I helped them with, I just had such a huge sense of fulfillment from helping them out and then seeing them succeed. And just leaving my first year, coming back into my second year, I just wanted to seek that fulfillment again. And I just naturally, I just brought a bunch of people. I ended up bringing my brother. I ended up bringing my old manager from Burger King where I used to work. I ended up bringing, people from my school. And it just, I just wanted to have that fulfillment, not knowing I could actually get paid off of it.
Yeah, that's cool. It's a bigger responsibility, especially when you're bringing such close people to you, like your old manager, your brother. I feel like when you recruit like your waiter, yeah, you want to see them succeed and you're invested in helping them do so. But when you bring someone that's like as close to you as the people we just talked about, personally, correct me, you maybe feel differently. I feel like even a greater responsibility for their success. Do you feel the same, or do you feel like it's just an equal kind of I don't want to say burden, but responsibility?
I think I wouldn't say it's an equal responsibility. There's definitely a lot more, I wouldn't say fulfillment, but there's more of a need for me to help them out because I brought them out and we've been close, we were close, right? But I think when it comes to a cold recruit that I hire, and I think this is why I have done well in the industry, is whether I just met them at a Starbucks and I recruited them, I treat them the same way that it's my brother coming into the industry as well.
I like that. Do you have kind of a process do you have a process? And if you do, how would you say it is now compared to when you were first and assistant manager for recruiting and recruiting and training people to ensure that they have success?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think I didn't have anyone teaching me how to recruit, number one, and it was tough. So in Canada at the time, Vivint was operating in every single province except for Quebec, where I was living. And it's because of the French. And so when I would go back at the end of the summer back home, there wasn't any regionals around me, any managers. It was just myself. And I remember going to a Tim Hortons, hiring my first guy.
Where, sorry?
Tim Hortons. It's like our version of Starbucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm in this Tim Hortons, like hiring this cold recruit that I recruited out of I got him in an interview from a school booth, and he's sitting across from me at the Tim Hortons, and I'm nervous. This is like my first cold recruit. And I'm sitting down, I'm like, hey, can I grab you coffee? And he's like, yeah. Is this like door to door, by the way? I'm like, yeah, it's door to door, 100% commission. Let me go grab you coffee. And I get up, I go wait in line, I go grab a coffee. I literally come back and he's just gone. And at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to create some processes and systems to know how to recruit. And that's what I loved about Vivint, was when I wasn't working around different managers, they had such an amazing, database of training material that I think everything from there. So I think I've followed a very similar process from back then, even till now. I like to break it down into, 4 things: is sell them on you, sell them on the company, sell them on the product, and then sell them on the opportunity. And the reason why I think that makes sense is they won't believe in the opportunity if they don't believe in your product or company, right? And they won't believe in your product and company if they have no idea who you are and they don't trust you. And so I've broken it down into that process where it's like, number one, do a little bit of storytelling, sell them on you, sell them on what you have accomplished, and then sell them on what the company is and the product, and then sell them on the opportunity. So that's the process I've done to recruit people. And then when it comes to leading them and training them, I think that's, one of my biggest strengths that I've had a lot of reps and managers tell me is I love to learn all the time. I love the psychology of selling. I love reading. I love filling my brain with knowledge. And so whenever I sit down or whenever I run trainings, I always have new things to teach people. And I think that's what's always made it interesting. Oftentimes there's managers that get to month number 2 in the summer and they're like, oh, what should I do? And it's like, you don't know what to do because you haven't taught yourself enough to teach more, right? So, I think that's just what my processes have been.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I was like thinking about your, sell yourself, sell the company and product, and then sell the opportunity. It's a great flow. I totally agree with you. Are you off doors right now, Jordan, or do you still knock?
I don't knock for KNOK, like the door-to-door company I work with. But I do knock for my other company. I just started an alcohol company. It's Soju Soda. And I actually go door to door selling this stuff now to a lot of liquor stores, nightclubs, and bars. And then I also have a restaurant software where I go door to door for restaurants part-time. Yeah.
Wait a minute. So you have a beverage company and a software company?
Yes, I do.
And you go door to door to sell that?
I do go door to door to sell that. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, let's talk about that for a sec. Where did that come about from?
So I'm going to be real. When I was managing, when I became a regional at KNOK and I started managing multiple teams, I think it started getting very stressful as a regional. I think a lot of regionals align with this. One of the most fulfilling parts of being in door-to-door is being a part of a team. And then once you're a regional, you're not really a part of a team anymore. You're just visiting teams. And so I had trouble connecting with my managers or my teams. So one of the bad habits I used to have, and I'm going to open up a little bit, I hope that's okay. When I would visit teams, oftentimes I'd run good trainings, take out some shadows, and then I'd drink with the team. And it started becoming like a bad habit. And this wasn't the whole career, obviously. This was like one of the bad years. And I would spend a lot of money drinking with a lot of teams, and that just kind of became a little bit of some culture. And I wanted to stop that. So last year in 2024, actually in 2023, at the end of the year, my fiance planned a massive birthday party for me. And she booked a surprise ticket to Mexico and a huge surprise party. And I ended up getting sick. My stomach was in like a lot of pain, had to go to the hospital. Doctor's like, hey, you can't drink anymore. And I decided after that I wanted to do a whole year sober. So last year I decided to do a whole year sober. And as I was realizing how much money I'm saving, I was like, let me start an alcohol company with one of my buddies. So we started an alcohol company, which is interesting because I didn't drink that whole year. I didn't try my drink. And, you know, I just wanted to create something here in Canada, at least I wanted to create more Asian representation within the alcohol industry. So that's why I wanted to start it. And then now we've recently launched and we've been selling out in a lot of stores. And then as far as the restaurant business software goes, that's just a little passion project that I have as well. Okay. Yeah.
Dude, look at you go, man. You're probably really busy. VP of sales and then run 2 different separate companies that you're bootstrapping and selling. That's a lot, man. Good for you. How long has the alcohol company been in business?
So we started about a year ago, a year and a half, I'd say, when the idea came out. And then we got our product made January of this year. So about 6 months ago or 7 months ago. And then we finally got in stores a month and a half ago.
Okay, that's amazing. Question on that. I'm sure a lot of our listeners probably are wondering the same thing. What's cool about door-to-door is you can develop the skills to have an income that you can then use to deploy in other avenues like you're doing, in multiple businesses or investments, etc. But to take an idea like you had and then actually get a product made and take it to market, what does that process look like?
Yeah, it's been a journey and a half, I'll tell you that. So when we just launched, we had no idea what we were doing and it's interesting, my business partner, he actually has his own solar company as well in Canada. So we both have door-to-door background, no alcohol background at all. And I remember we had the idea, we're like, where do we start? And first thing we do is cold calling. So we pick up the phone and we start dialing different distilleries and co-packers, trying to negotiate deals to find the best price to make our product. And we're just dialing. We finally find one and negotiate one. We fly out to Toronto and, you know, we formulate it. We do different little recipes and then they made us a drink and they said, we'll get it shipped out to you in 1 month. Took them 4 months to finish that. And then They sent it and it was the worst drink I've ever had. I didn't drink it, by the way. So I put it in my mouth, I spit it out because I wasn't drinking that year. And it sucked. So they charged us a lot. We spent probably just under $10,000 to get that set up for a waste of time. And we missed an event that we had booked. So we would find another one. So we go up to this little town called Edson in Alberta, very small town, find another co-packer. They make us a drink. It actually tastes decent. And then it turns out that the owner of the company is having his own internal problems with other staff. And they don't make us a drink. And so it pushes us back another 2 to 3 months. And we spent another few $1,000s wasted time over there. A couple months later, we moved to another distillery in Abbotsford and we make a drink. At this time, we're desperate. So the guy that we're working with over there says, hey, the reason why these companies have all failed you is because you didn't pay enough. And so we're like, you know what? Take our money. We put in 40 grand to this company. They make our drink. It's literally 4 months delayed than the date he said it would be created. And I still remember this day like it was yesterday. So my business partner, Ryan, and I, shout out Ryan, we drove to the distillery one day to go pick up our cans because they said it was finished. The doors are all locked and there's this random guy standing outside of that facility. And he's like, hey, are you guys the soju guys? And we're just like, that's us. And he's like, I've been looking for you guys for a couple of months to try and warn you about this company, but they're going bankrupt. They owe a lot of us money. There's dozens of different companies that they screwed over. Turns out company's going bankrupt. The landlord's trying to kick them out of the facility and we just lost our investment pretty much. So we had to do a lot of work to get our cans from there. We finally were able to move our cans from that facility to our facility, a new one. And then they wouldn't want to pass over the registration. And so the reason why I bring this up is the process was really, really hard. And I've talked to so many other people that started in this industry, in the alcohol industry, and they would quit after a couple of months just because stuff like this happened. And I think what changed for Ryan and I was because of our door-to-door background, just being so used to rejection, being so used to adversity. I don't think we'd be able to get through it if we did not do door-to-door at all.
It's actually funny you say that. That was gonna be my next question is like, throughout your business ventures, not door-to-door, how has door-to-door been able to have you or make you successful in those endeavors? Is there anything else besides the rejection? Like, dude, I can't even imagine that. You're probably what, 55, 60K deep, and then your third company screws you over. I mean, it would be hard for me to continue going at that point. So props to you guys for that. But yeah, are there any other like takeaways from door to door that you can innately see, like it's because of this that we were able to do X, Y, Z, you know?
Yeah, there's one big one I'd bring up. So when we're going from store to store and we're selling our product, the first time I went out to sell our product, we have to bring samples to these stores, let them try it. And I remember bringing these little 4-packs to these store managers and saying, hey, give it a try. You're going to really like it. And they'd turn around and say, hey, we'll try it and we'll get back to you. And I realized after going to like 4 or 5 different stores, no one got back to me. And so I got back to the drawing table with Ryan, and we're just like, you know, what can we implement into our process from our door-to-door experience? And we're just like, same day or die, you know? So we're just like, okay, let's get them to drink there and then, because we know if they try it, they're gonna like it. So we ended up grabbing like one of those portable coolers. We put ice in it. We brought little cups as well. And then we put the cans in it so it was nice and cold. And we changed our process. And we're just like, hey, we're the JuSo guys. We're a local company. You guys are gonna love this. We have some right now for you guys to try it. Do you guys want to use your cups or our cups? Right?
Boom.
And that, boom, same day. They try it out, they like it, and we're like, hey, do you guys want to order 4 flats, 6 flats, 8 flats? And we just use those same skill sets in our door-to-door and in the stores, and it made a big difference for us.
That's amazing, dude. I love it. Do you want to use your cups or our cups?
Yeah.
Shoes on, shoes off. Let me just do the old edging thing. Let me just see this. If I put a sensor right here, oh, I'm in the door. Slam. I love it, dude. That's the best people in sales are the best at transitioning. So that's amazing. I love it. Good for you. You should bring some to D2DCon Canada.
Maybe.
I want to try it. Maybe. We don't have to get those guys wasted. No, never mind. Bad idea. Bad idea. I'm just kidding. Let's take a step back into the door-to-door world really quick, specifically on leadership. So right now as VP of sales, how many regionals or managers, regional managers and managers do you currently have that you work with?
So we work with, I'd say 3 divisional managers. It's just like one up from regional managers. Mm-hmm. We currently have around 15 teams across the company.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is the biggest difference you've noticed as you've kind of risen through ranks, running teams, running a team, running multiple teams, and now running multiple leaders of multiple teams? What is the biggest difference you've noticed for yourself, because it could be different for everyone, between managing the production of a group versus managing the leaders of groups? Managing leaders versus managing reps, I should say. What do you think is the biggest difference for you?
I think the biggest difference is, you know, I think it's easier. I think the managers probably have it the hardest because they're out in the field. They got to go and knock, and they got to go and grind, and they also have to manage their teams and manage their team's feelings and manage their team's systems. On the regional perspective or VP perspective, we're just creating systems for them so that they could duplicate it and then put it within their teams. You know, I think one of the biggest things is, and Jeff Mendez says it all the time, it's like, you can't manage people, but you can manage systems. So I think the biggest thing would be systems. Actually, no, it's the same thing. I think when you're managing, you also need systems, but biggest difference I'd say is, at least in where I'm at, is maintaining the relationship with our channel partner, which is TELUS, while managing and maintaining a relationship with the owner, who's Brent, and then also doing the same thing with the regionals and just making sure that it's all connected seamlessly, which has been hard. But I think that's one of the biggest things, and that's different from what I'm doing versus what managers are doing.
Absolutely. I don't know why, but I feel like the people that aspire in our industry to be running teams or having a title, some get there, some don't, but the ones that get there oftentimes miss the days of the simplicity of just going out and selling, or even the simplicity of just like running a small group of people if they're a manager of a small team versus like managing, channel partners, making sure everyone from the top down is happy in the organization. But one word you've mentioned a couple times throughout this podcast, Jordan, is fulfillment. So I have a question right now. Well, actually, no, let's not do right now. Let's say over the course of your career, what part of it has been the most fulfilling for you? The part you just enjoyed the most over the last decade?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing that just hasn't changed. Whether it's me being a VP, recruiting someone and them going out and selling and seeing them, change and develop over a couple months working with us versus me, my first year, bringing my friends out, seeing them develop. The most fulfilling thing for me is the personal development that I see in the sales reps that come into the program.
Totally. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling like playing a role in that development, seeing them go from like when you found them, so to speak, to them sticking the course, them implementing the things you teach them, you having their back. I feel like that's huge. Like you're there when they need you. And then years later, they're still doing it. They're successful. They have a career. Like I have friends that I brought in that are like killing it, providing well for their wives and their kids. And you're just like, I don't take responsibility for it, but you're like, I did play a little role in that. And it is really fulfilling. Way more so than having a monster sales day or winning a sales competition or getting a big paycheck. It's, I agree with you. It is really fulfilling on the leadership element of just like playing a role in the development and changing people's lives. I love it. I completely agree. But question for you, as a Canadian, this is the first time that D2DCon is coming up north, which it's funny, and you've probably heard me say this on previous podcasts, like I was so aloof to the fact that people were knocking doors in Canada until like less than a year ago. And now I'm like, whoa, dude, there's a lot of killers up there, a lot of good organizations, and it's a great market for many different products. But question is, what is the most exciting thing for you about D2DCon coming up to Canada?
I think one of the most exciting things for me is seeing a lot of my friends and people I personally know going up there and sharing. I think the door-to-door industry it's small, but it's huge at the same time when you include America and Canada. But I think there's a lot of great people up here that have great stories to share and great experiences that they've had and great nuggets. So I'm really excited to hear that from some people that I've grown in the industry with.
Yeah, I completely agree. It'll be cool. I'm excited to I've been doing a lot of these podcasts with, studs from Canada that'll be doing workshops or speaking or whatever. And it's just, I don't know, it's just been an eye-opening experience for me. So I'm personally excited to get up there. Never been to Canada. We're actually extending after the event to go to Banff, which I'm stoked about. I've always wanted to go there. But I agree, it's going to be a good event and good exposure for you guys. You guys deserve it. You're doing good things. You're knocking in, way worse weather than a lot of us down here in the States are. So hats off to you guys. But so for those of you listening, Jordan's going to be on the leadership panel in one of the workshop rooms at D2DCon, which will be exciting. Are there any specific, obviously it's like a Q&A, there'll be some, questions that you guys will all answer, but is there any specific thing about leadership in general that you're hoping to get to share or leave with the audience that you can expand on more, obviously, during the event? But yeah, is there any specific part of leadership that you're excited about training on?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite quotes, actually two of them, is seek first to understand, then to be understood. It's a Stephen Covey quote. And one of my other favorite quotes is, a leader must be inspired by people before a leader can inspire people. It's a Simon Sinek quote. So a leader must be inspired by people before a leader can inspire people.
Oh, I love that.
I like that a lot. I think it resides with my type of leadership. Traditionally, I think my leadership's a little bit different than the most common ones. I'm a very big people person. And my style is, hey, get to know your reps on a very personal level, because again, people don't really care how much you know until you know how much they care, how much you care. And so, I've broken down some systems and how to properly get to know your representatives and how to understand their goals so that you could align them with your goals and your company's goals and get the best outcome out of them.
That's amazing. I'd be very curious to hear that, systems to get to know your reps better. I feel like a lot of leaders struggle to do that. They struggle to genuinely care, right? A lot of leaders they don't really care about the human. They care more about the rep and the performance, right? So that's huge. And then having a system to getting to know them, I'd be very curious to hear that. So if anyone's on the fence about coming to D2DCon Canada, or if you're in leadership on the fence, that's a good reason to come right now. But yeah, let's have you share, Jordan. If anyone's listening right now, that's like, maybe I'll go to Canada, D2DCon, maybe it's a 4-hour drive, I don't know. If you had a message to share to anyone on the fence right now about coming, what would be your message to them?
My message is door-to-door has changed my life. Door-to-door sales has allowed me to provide for my family. It's allowed me to start businesses. It's allowed me to be in a place financially where I don't have to stress about things. And I know everyone here in Canada has been stressing out about things. A lot of people that are in door-to-door, there's so much more to know than the trainings that are on your company videos, right? And this is the place to learn them. There's so many leaders that have gone through all that same stuff that you're currently going through that could help you and help you see where you could get to long-term at the same time. And yeah, go learn, come show up. You guys are going to have so much fun, and you're going to get to network with some high value people. And, you're going to put yourself in a position where you're uncomfortable because you're around a bunch of studs. And that's honestly what you need to do to be successful in door-to-door. So come.
You heard it, folks. Come to Canada. It's going to be a great event. Every day, I work closely with the director who's putting on this event. And I overhear calls, I get asked questions, and every day I get more and more excited. It's shaping up to be a really good event. But Jordan, I appreciate your time. For any of our listeners here that just liked you, resonated with what you had to say, curious to follow along and see what you're doing, where can they find you online?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Jordan, JORDAN .Morales, MORALES.
Jordan.Morales, folks. Give him a follow. It's a good dude. Jordan, appreciate your time, my man. Thanks for hopping on and sharing some wisdom. I wish you all the best at KNOK and in your 2 other businesses, which is really cool. And I'm excited to meet you in Canada. It's coming up quick. But I'll let you get back to your day, man. Thanks so much for hopping on the podcast. And again, guys, if you like this, you like Jordan, you like our guests, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. What did you learn from this podcast? And come to Canada. All right. See you guys next time. Thanks, Jordan.